Open up, it's the thick police. And this laptop is under arrest. This is an MSI Titan GT80s, and it is a thick boy. Criminally thick. Full-size keyboard, cherry keyboard. It cost like $1 million when it was brand new. This is the MSRP right here. I got it for $600. Still very expensive for how old it is. However, this is one step closer to the ultimate thick boy, the Acer Predator 21X, which I don't know if I'll ever get my hands on. But I'm filling up my thick Pokedex, and this was the next step in there. I have all the good ones, and some of the bad. This large mamma jamma is huge.
That's what she said.
She never said that to the viewers. Stop lying. It's a phrase only Lupe hears. None of us do. So obviously this thing is a desktop replacement. MSI made it as a desktop replacement. I got it. It does not have an NVMe. I got it off a kind viewer that messaged me on Instagram. They obviously removed their NVMe. I believe it has 64 gigabytes of DDR4. So I actually just paid for the RAM, and he included the laptop for free. Very kind of him. I believe it has 2 NVMe slots and an mSATA SSD and an HDD slot. Ton of storage for this thing. It is very unfortunate that Windows 11 does not support this processor. But I'm not going to listen to that. I am going to install Windows 11 Pro on here. Please, I know. Peep the speakers. Those are 4 Bigly speakers, top firing speakers, the way speakers should be firing. That's the only correct way to fire. And of course, something just fell in my hand. Subwoofer. Wow. We'll see if it actually works, because most of these laptops, the subwoofer cone is cracked because of age. But something just fell on my hand. Let's see what that is.
Oh, it fell.
Where is it? Oh, it's a screw. That is always a good sign. When you buy a used laptop and a screw falls out, that's how you know you made a good purchase.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to talk my squadron leader, my captain, get me a new hat. Squadron leader. So I'm gonna put a 1 terabyte NVMe in here. I'm gonna install Windows 11 Pro. I'm gonna test it out. And this thing most certainly needs thermal paste. So we're gonna take it apart and we're gonna reapply the thermal paste on the GPU and the CPU. CPU's no problem. This thing has 2 GPUs that use a ton of spermal putty, so that's gonna be a challenge. But I want this thing to survive. I don't want it to break. Like every other computer of this age, the GPUs cooked themselves to death. I don't want that to happen to this one. I want to preserve it. You may ask what NVMe we're using. Please come in here. I'm gonna do this to prove a point. Hello there. Hide behind the bushes. This is Lupe's streaming PC. It's his DJ PC, as you can see. Lupe G1, he mixes. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the NVMe from this, and I'm gonna put it in there. Because I'm gonna show you that if you're desperate, you can just take an NVMe with an operating system pre-installed on it, Windows 11 Pro, and just slap it into another computer. And it might work, it might not work. And I wanna make this a spicy video. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, this version of Windows 11 has been debloated and the AI has been removed because privacy is important and being spied on is creepy. Even at home, when you think you're safe, data brokers are actively trying to steal your info. Thankfully, companies like Incogni exist to make sure your data stays out of the hands of creeps and weirdos like those people search sites. Incogni also makes sure it's safe from malicious actors that use it to commit fraud like they did on my wife a few years ago. We had to freeze her credit, change her cards, it was a nightmare. Now, I never want to go through this again, which is why we signed up for Incogni. Incogni sends takedown notices to hundreds of websites and data brokers to help keep your information off the web and away from thieves and creeps. Doing this manually takes forever, and making sure your data stays off is even more time consuming. Incogni automates this entire process for you and makes sure your data isn't just removed, it stays removed. And if you have Incogni's unlimited plan, you can take advantage of their custom removal feature, which means if there's a website you found that has your data, you send Incogni the URL and they'll take care of it, with takedown requests until your data is removed. Try it out for yourself. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And if you do end up sticking with them, which you will, you can use my code TechSperts at the link below to get 60% off an annual subscription. So you can just sit back and have them fight sketchballs to take back your privacy. I believe this is a Samsung Gen 4 NVMe, so it'll work perfectly in this Gen -1 NVMe slot. Because I didn't even know 6th gens could take NVMEs, apparently they can. Thankfully, this thing is pretty easy to work on. Well, I should say, the components are easy to replace. You don't even need a screw, you just undo that thing. NVMe is gonna go in the correct slot after I unscrew. This is going great. Look at this, tiny raccoon-like fingers, going to work. I like challenging myself.
I did it with my sausage fingers.
Your what fingers? I had to give up and resort to my LTT precision screwdriver that you can get at lttstore.com/Salem. Perfect. Wow! Is this necessary? This is more silicone than in Pam Anderson's body. Put this back on. First of all, this thing shouldn't boot up right away because I didn't set any, okay. BIOS version 2018, EC build 2015. I think this laptop came out in 2017, I want to say. Look at this chunker. I know my hands are small, but look at this thing, dude.
This is my e-scooter charger.
That is probably, yours is probably smaller than this.
That's what she said.
Ooh.
To you.
Oh. So this is a 330 watt charger? Is that right? And it uses the 4-pin pinout thing that's very common on those older chunky laptops. I think the Toshiba uses something very similar. Bunch of ports in the back, Ethernet, you know, HDMI, all the good stuff. It does have a display port like the OG ones. 2 USB 3 ports on the right side, SD card slot on the left, and 3 USB 3 ports on the left side. Optical in, the SP-Diff I believe that is, for audio. And we have 2 audio inputs, or outputs, the mic input, headphone jack output. What else do we have here? There's nothing over here. Nothing. Lupe's a little tipsy from this morning.
My eyes are dilated.
So when you do this, when you transfer an NVMe or an SSD or whatever from one computer to the other, it's gonna do this, getting devices ready. Obviously, this means it's installing the drivers and it's just making sure the computer's set up. So here's usually where it's a make it or break it, right? Because here it's either gonna blue screen on us and say, what are you trying to do, you lazy piece of junk? Or it's gonna say, here you go, here's Windows, literally nothing's installed, but it's not crashing. So then you have to start installing stuff. Let's hope we get to that point. After the reboot.
5 minutes later.
Wouldn't you know, the wallpaper's already MSI. Wow, Lupe. You have a hard time seeing the cursor?
Yeah, dude, that fucking font is a fucking bad.
Now that we're in here, we have to check the drivers to see what drivers we're missing. And lo and behold, we're only missing 2 drivers. Almost like we already installed the GTX 980 SLA drivers as well as everything else that this thing needed. And that PCIe device is something that we don't care about. So we're gonna skip that. The great news, this is a Blu-ray drive. BD, Big Disk Energy. BDRE, that's rewritable?
Resident Evil.
We can write Blu-rays on this. It allows data to be recorded, erased, and rewritten up to 1,000 times.
Oh, you really your freaking index finger, bro.
Why do you read with this? Huh? Can your eyes see that? So now I'm gonna install Dragon Center so we can take advantage of all the crazy stuff that this thing has to offer. So some of the specs. i7-6920 HQ processor. It's a quad core processor. We have 64 gigs of DDR4 running at 2667. So it came with either Windows 10 Home or Windows 10 Pro. It has 4 slots of DDR4, so I only showed you 2. There's 2 more that are buried somewhere underneath this insanity. 18.4-inch Full HD display, so it's a 1080 display with an IPS panel. 980s running an SLI for a total of 8 gigawatts.
What the hell is a gigawatt?
Of DDR9. Storage, I already told you the storage, and it is PCIe Gen 3. We are installed in Dragon Center. We have to read this next. Who's reading all this, dude? We all know this is a joke. No one's reading any of this. Just let me go. Oh, the cute little dragon. I can't stay mad at MSI for too long. So we have all of our drivers installed. The audio driver is interesting because me and Lupe are torn on this one. This is what it sounds like with no enhancements. Now with enhancements. Yeah, dude, I think it sounds better without any enhancements, which is crazy. But dude, those speakers are slaptastic. Impressive audio system, MSI. I respect it. Don't worry, I'm not gonna do the video like this. Hey guys, I just want to share something really cool that I just found out the other day. It's a skincare product. I rub it on my balls. Audio's cool. This thing is cooking. So now let's run OCCT. Let's blow this thing up. All right, we're starting the test. Immediately our CPU is at 92 degrees. The fans are taking a while to kick on though. I have it flat on the desk, so usually I don't. How about this? Thank you, MSI. MSI Versa mouse box. You can actually hear the difference of the air restriction. Listen to this. You hear that? Because now it can breathe. This is how you should operate your laptop in general. Always make sure there's space underneath for the cold air to come in and then get exhausted out the sides. 94 degrees Celsius, 94 degrees Celsius. GPU looks like it's pretty decent right now, though the GPU is not being loaded up. It says it wasn't throttling, so I guess that's actually pretty impressive. We're gonna play Counter-Strike, see what happens. Okay, we are in Counter Forces. And how we looking? I mean, it feels okay. We're 1080. I haven't checked the settings. It was default settings it gave me. I'm not sure what this... Jeez Louise said. Linus! Come on, man! What the hell was that? That was a crazy shot. He's reminding you to buy my screwdriver at lttstore.com/Salem. GPU is only being partially utilized. The problem with this SLI... Okay, I think Linus is cheating. Regardless, the problem with SLI in modern games is it doesn't utilize SLI, so it's putting all the force on one GPU, which is this GPU. The frame rate's super stuttery. You can see in the graph in the top left, the frame rate is all over the place. I think if I adjust the settings, I'll be able to fix that. I think we can get it better, which is why we are going to now get under the hood and do some much needed maintenance. Before we do anything, we did 3D Mark, Time Spy, we have that score. Cinebench R20, we have that score. You can see how it compares to our 13700K. So we're getting real close there. And I want to test it after we do the thermal paste. It did not throttle when we were doing these tests, which is nice. The most it got up to, disregard this, it actually did this while we were installing Black Flag. It got up to 90 degrees when it was just running regular, and the GPU only got up to like 70 degrees. 76, I lied. So let's see what it does after we replace the thermal paste. Few screws, comes right out.
Wow.
Look at this. Very impressive. You've probably never seen a laptop like this before. For those of you that own Clevos and all that, those big thick boys, you may have. But this is SLI, baby. This was a weird time of technology when GPUs just weren't good enough. So what's better than one GPU? Two GPUs. And this is an SLI cable. This little ass thing.
Wow.
These two big GPUs. Why don't you come on in here, Lupe?
Reminds me of the rubber band, man.
Wild like the Taliban, 9 on my right, 45 in the other hand.
Yes.
Look at the cooling system. MSI did not skimp out. I'm guessing because they had so much room to work with, they said, you know what, we are gonna include a lot of pipe. I love pipe. This is a lot of pipe. CPU is here, 980, 980.
I used to surf pipe.
You surfed pipe?
Oh, yeah.
That can be misinterpreted. You can see some rubbers right here on the pipe, and this isn't for protection. This is actually so the chassis doesn't flex, because there's so much room between the actual motherboard itself and the pipe. This is still plastic, so you didn't want it to flex too much. So those rubbers connect to that. It doesn't look dusty at all, which is concerning, because when we feel the vents, there's definitely a difference between one side and the other side in terms of like pressure. Exhaust, that's what I'm trying to think of. Let's get an angle from over here. A little wiggly boy. I think that's the reset like the CMOS. I've already clicked it, so we'll find out what it does. But it just amused me that it was so wiggly. In terms of disassembly, this is the keyboard. This is not the battery. This is actually the keyboard. This is the battery. It's tiny considering this, but like who's actually using this as a laptop? Probably not many people, I would assume. My thing is, how am I supposed to disconnect this battery when it's underneath the heatsink pipe right here? Because I don't even want to start working on this until I kill the power, but I can't kill the power until I start working on this. So I'm in a bit of a pickle here. So what I think I'm gonna do is just try to pull the battery connector just out like this. There's enough wires where I think I can distribute the pressure evenly enough where I can just pull it out without, excuse me, without ripping something. I guess we'll start there, and then it's just a matter of unscrewing all these screws. Now to do this, I'm gonna put on my bomb glasses, my bomb diffusal glasses. So now I just look like a village person, bomb diffuser guy.
The village idiot.
I already look like the village idiot. I don't think I'm supposed to touch it with tweezers, but I'm gonna try to see what happens anyways. Oh, I'm fine, don't you worry about it. I guess tweezers weren't the right play here. So let's just pull straight There we go. So first thing, I'm gonna start with the SLI cable. I'm gonna disconnect that because obviously I can't do anything while that's connected. And it looks like we have little numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think it's 4, 3, 2, 1. It's supposed to go. That's how I do it.
You're right. No, you're right. When you're disassembling, it's supposed to go backwards. One screw was black. Listen, I'm not racist. One screw was black, one screw silver. But on this side, black, 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 black. So all the screws are black, which kind of leads me to believe this guy may have tampered with this, whether he repasted it or something. So let's take a look at the screw. Screw doesn't look stripped, which is a good sign. What's the length? They're not the same length. These are definitely aftermarket screws. Thankfully, he didn't destroy the GPU.
He probably lost the screw as he took it apart.
Yeah, you know what? I can't blame him if that happened, but you have to make sure to use the same size screw, the same length screw if you do that, because don't use the wrong size screw. Especially on a laptop that costs like 3, 4 grand, 5, 6 grand when it was new, whatever it cost. I'm gonna put that over here, and I'm just going to disconnect the SLI connector. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but that wasn't a good sound you want to hear. The moment of gooch. Oh, wow.
Wow, it's really clogged.
Yeah. Just a few strands of DNA. It looks like dog hair. Gooch, gooch, gooch.
Wow.
No, oh, I caught a pube.
That was angel dust.
Look, you see it? Hold on. It's on my finger. Look at that, huh?
Wow.
See it?
This DSLR camera picked that up.
Very clean. Suspiciously clean, even. Look at that. We got it.
The greatest technician that's ever lived.
Thank you, Lupe. Oh, wow. They didn't repaste this. I'm reassured to see that. They did not repaste this. This is the original thermal paste, if I were to guess.
Wow.
Yeah, just judging by the fact it's so crusty, and I don't see any clean marks. Usually you can see like streaks and stuff when people clean this. The silicone pads are definitely original. This is good news. So the game plan is to replace the silicone pads with thermal putty, and obviously replace this with PTM 7950. So that's gonna be our mission. Oh, wow. That was some good suck. We were getting stuck, big dog.
Looks like right here.
There it is. And now for the CPU. That's on the left. This thing is worth more in copper than it is as a laptop at this point. That's a great sound. Oh, whoa. Wowzers.
Wow.
That is disgusting.
The air at that time wasn't too good.
The air is better than it is now because the EPA still existed. Now the next step, obviously, is to clean off all the paste that you see here, this old disgusting paste, and most importantly, these crusty dusty silicone pads, which actually they don't look too bad, but we have something better, which is Upsiren thermal putty. I forget what it is. It's in my Amazon store. This stuff is gonna replace every single silicone pad. And luckily the silicone pads are pretty thin, which means I can just spread this pretty thin, because when you start using thick amounts, it takes a lot, and this stuff is not cheap by any means. However, this stuff is much more conductive than silicone, which is why we're doing it, because we want to prolong the life of this as long as we possibly can, even though I'll probably use this like 3 more times before it ends up on that shelf and you guys look at it in every video. So this is going to take me a very long time, so I think what we'll do is skip this entire part. So it's time for me to take off my hat as the thick police and put on my paste police hat. It's been 30 days, and finally, we are finished. I was cosplaying Bob Ross, and I finished all the thermal putty. PTM 7950 has been applied. All this silicone I took off, this is what Hollywood's gonna look like in a few years. So now we're just gonna reassemble the heat sinks, which Lupe cleaned. And actually you can see, look how scorched the heat sinks are. Look at that.
Wow, looks like my exhaust.
This thing was running hot for a very long time. Hopefully, it didn't run hot for too long where the GPUs are broken.
One eternity later.
Oh, my neck. Welcome back. We did it. All these 6,000 screws screwed in, all the fan wired SLI is connected. I hope everything works. The battery connector, we're gonna just shove it back in there. I do like how well the cooling system is though.
Wow.
It is a good cooling system, so obviously they weren't playing around with this thing. They knew what they were getting into with this thing. Okay, so it didn't turn on. I'm gonna plug it in. See if did I just unplug the battery or something?
Wow.
That's weird because the battery is plugged in and the battery was charged. So that's kind of concerning that it did not.
Sure about that?
You sure about that?
I am actually sure about that. So 96%, I know all my repair guys can relate to what I'm about to do because I'm going to unplug it. And if it shuts off suddenly, you know that there's an issue. It didn't shut off suddenly. So I guess it just needs the charger to be connected in order to turn on. That's the sigh of relief.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at those temps. Make sure we are, HJ info doesn't exist, so let's do HW info. So our 3D Mark score, 6599. Oh, let's get back there. GPU only hit 78C, hotspot 92, which is a little less than it was before. CPU didn't throttle, it hit 83. That's definitely better than it was before. It was hitting 90 something, which is nice. Second GPU, 65, that's nothing. So it looks like we did a good job here. I don't know how this compares to our other scores, so I guess I'll look at that right now. Wow, so our previous score was 5885. And now we are 6599, and our temps were better this time. 83 on the CPU, which is lower than the 90. It did not throttle. And our GPU, only at 78, hotspot 92, and again, did not throttle. So I think we're looking pretty good. That's the second GPU, which barely utilized. Our Cinebench score was like 1662. It was about the same. So yeah, the other one was like 16-oh-some, so Cinebench is the same. We are 10 degrees cooler than we were before, which is excellent. Before, this was at 95 at the top, and at the bottom, the middle was like 97 or something like that. So we're doing good. We are in Counter Forces. This is 100% playable. You can definitely make the settings perform a little better. I haven't even, oh my God, that guy got friggin' destroyed. I haven't even messed with this setting, so this is just what I loaded up in. Let's check it out while I'm here, actually. So V-Sync's obviously disabled, G-Sync's off. So medium settings. You can see the settings here. So I'm sure if we change it to low and if we change that to performance, then we'd get much better FPS. But I'm happy with how it looks now. Huge improvement from what we had before we did the thermal paste job and all that good stuff. I'm very happy with that. I'm very satisfied with that because really that's what this machine is going to be used for. Oh, hold on a second, my phone's going off. Oh, hey, it's one of your mothers. And they're home alone? My apologies for the abrupt exit. When duty calls, I must answer. And now that I'm off duty, what better way to enjoy myself than to play a game on my laptop? Which this is designed to do, because it's a gaming laptop. Now, you're not supposed to play your laptop on the bed, but, you know, I'm sure a few minutes won't hurt, because this is a gaming laptop. This is exactly what MSI intended. Now we just gotta boot it up, and open up Counter-Strike. My sincerest apologies, you should never use any laptop on a bed. Speaking of 2 GPUs, we saw how Counter-Strike worked. I've played quite a few hours here at the house, and I got to experience just how bad Counter-Strike 2 actually is in terms of cheaters. So yeah, that's a very sad state of affairs over there. However, CS2 only took advantage of 1 GPU because it's just not designed for SLI, since SLI is just an antiquated technology that's not utilized anymore. But there were a few games back in the day that did utilize SLI, like Battlefield 1, Star Wars Battlefront 2, my personal favorite, and yes, Crysis. That's right, Crysis 3 was the last version of Crysis that actually natively supported SLI. And the differences were massive. And I think the best example is to show Battlefront 2. Oh boy, is this thing getting spicy. I hear you, Chewy. That's exactly what the laptop is saying right now. So you can see the GPU usage being split right now. 40 watts, 40 watts. The percentage is also split, whereas before, GPU 1 was taking the load on CS. In this game, we have a constant 60 FPS. This is on Ultra right now, and yes, the game is older, but that's not the point. The point is, it's so cool that 2 GPUs were able to work together to be able to run games like this. Take a notice of how much wattage this thing's sucking to, dude. This thing uses brute force, raw power to get the FPS that it needed. This generation of laptops were so interesting. I personally never owned an SLI computer because I was too poor. But now, you know, 10 years later, 11 years later, I'm finally able to experience what everybody was talking about all that time ago. Now, there is a significant temperature difference still in the GPUs. I don't know if something went wrong with my cooling method, if maybe, you know, my thermal putty was a little too low on one or something, who knows. But this is a great example of how SLI was utilized back in the day. CPU is still 70C, not too bad. GPU, that's still within good range. The fans are hauling ass right now though. Now there actually is a way to get some modern-ish games to run SLI, and that's with NVIDIA Profile Inspector, which is what I have here. So I couldn't find Crysis 3, I can only find Crysis 3 Remastered, which is what we have here. So what I did was I added the Crysis 3 Remaster version to the Crysis 3 profile within the NVIDIA Profile Inspector. So I'm going to show you how it runs versus how it's going to run when I disable that feature. So we're going to run it on medium settings, and let's go back. Advanced graphics, you can see everything's on medium, and we have ray tracing turned off, obviously, because we don't have ray tracing on this card. So you will see some minor graphical glitches here and there, like flashing or something like that, but take notice of our GPUs. They're splitting the load right now, and we're running at a solid 60 FPS. Perfect example right now, this is flashing very rapidly. The camera actually isn't picking up how much it's flashing, which is funny. It must be flashing at a perfect 60 frames per second, but oh, here we go. Now you can start seeing it's flashing a little. This is one of those glitches that I was talking about. Now, just for giggles, I'm gonna see how high I can actually change these graphics until the computer just like explodes again or does something. So let's go into here. Let's try cranking them on high. Let's see what happens. Maybe I should do this after I've already loaded. Oh, okay. Where are we at now? All right, GPU's being utilized a little more. We're still at a solid 6. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. Don't speak too early. Now we're getting those stutters. Oh boy, how high can we go before this thing crashes? That is the question. That's what we all want to know. Let's see now. How high can we go? Let's go to very high. There's absolutely no way this is gonna work. Oh, whoa. Oh. Okay, so I actually disabled ray tracing outside because it was on high. I think it's crashing because it can't take ray tracing. I really want to stress those GPUs just to kind of show off the SLI features, and I'm just curious how much this thing can even take. We are on Ultra, 46. Okay, GPU is definitely being utilized more. FPS is obviously not where it needs to be, but damn, dude, this actually looks pretty good. Yeah, those GPUs are definitely being utilized more now. That's exactly what I wanted, because this really is going to show off the difference when I just disable SLI. Oh yeah, look at that GPU usage. We are cranking it right now. Wait, I shouldn't say that. Now let's see what happens when I disable SLI. So I'm going to remove this from the profile. I'm going to apply it. So now Crysis 3 Remastered is just going to use one GPU because it doesn't support SLI natively. And here you go. So you can see GPU 1 is pegged out at 99%, and we are not getting the same frames. Hey, shout out to Adam, Crowbar Collective. What up, my dude? Now, look at the GPU usage right here, dude. 99%, which is nuts. 130 watts, basically, going through this machine. And we can only get 50 FPS. So the benefit of SLI back in the day was that it could split the load, which was better for reliability, if not for anything else. Obviously, performance was great too, but reliability, man. The less wattage you shove through these things, the better it is, especially in a compact chassis like this. I mean, this is a thick boy, but shoving all that power into this tiny little thing isn't the best. Let's go right here. We're at 52 FPS, just looking straight forward, 99, and then let's compare it to with SLI enabled. And there you go. So look at the difference, dude. It's actually taking up more wattage now, but it's distributing it between the two cards. And you can see they're both half loaded, and the FPS difference is massive. Now, you can't play many modern games, but you can play like Mouse PI and games that have really low requirements. They'll still run pretty decent. Like Mouse PI runs at 60 frames per second, easy. And like I showed you before, CS2 does run, so you actually can play it. And now for Andy's final thoughts. Obviously, this isn't a laptop as much as it is a mobile desktop replacement that was originally meant for rich enthusiasts. And thanks to the secondhand market, here I am, 10 years later, having more fun playing 15-year-old games at 60 FPS than with the 4090 I have 3 feet away. Because this thing is fun. And I appreciate that companies like MSI took risks like this just so people could have fun. But I'm afraid this is a thing of the past, because the PC industry is in a really rough spot right now, and companies can't afford to take risks like they used to. And this didn't just start with the AI bullshit. Laptops seem to have lost their soul somewhere around this time. Companies started playing it safe by just re-releasing the same rainbow diarrhea slab with the newest specs because they didn't want to upset shareholders. Just think about it. In modern times, do you think Dell would ever approve the M2010? Or Acer would release another Predator 21X? What about the HP Dragon? There's no way. And that's why I'm adamant in my opinion that the early to mid 2000s was peak technology, even though I couldn't afford any of it. It was when enthusiasts could design computers for enthusiasts, and the average consumer still had access to decent computers at an affordable price. And to be fair, there are some modern laptops like the ZenBook Duo and the new Lenovo Yogas that are taking risks by trying different things. But if AI continues to kill the PC industry, computers will just become a subscription, and all these engineering marvels will be replaced by a MacBook Neo. But for now, all we can do is appreciate what already exists, and make sure it runs as fast as it can. Thanks for watching.